sometimes you need somebody to give you permission to be who you are. Because I used to put on this blue jacket and this white shirt and walk into places. I was uncomfortable and I could tell nobody was buying that. So there was one time I went to a presentation in Amsterdam and I played it real straight. And this guy, Gasper, says, "What is this?" So I'll appreciate this. Selector! Gasper Kamensek!
Hey everyone.
Yeah.
Hey man, thanks for that. Okay. Sort of didn't go by the book because I should have come from there and then the song would actually make sense. But the song is A Day in the Life by the Beatles, and I picked it because John Lennon's vocal is brilliant. But Oz cut out the minute that's actually got Paul McCartney singing, so that doesn't matter. So, adjust your calendar table, the kind that you already have, for Power BI, so that a certain part of Power BI that has the potential to be brilliant, and yet nobody uses it, can be brilliant. That's the idea. But I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, so my name is Gasper Kamensek. Oz said it all. I should probably just add that I come from the only country in the world that has the word love in the name, and that is Slovenia, just a bit up ahead. You're all subscribed, and Q&A. So the best news of the day is that's all the PowerPoints you're gonna see. And I'm actually gonna really do this not by the book, because if you know me, and by now, some of you actually do, I always like to do stuff. I never have things prepared. I like to get into it and write everything. Today, I'll do the exact opposite, almost. So, I'm gonna show you the end result, kind of, and explain why that is the perfect thing. Okay, so we're gonna start in Power BI, and just to ballpark it or to see how much I actually need to say. How many of you actually use Power BI? Hands up. Oh, it's a bigger number than I expected. Cool. For those of you that don't, it's like Power Query and Power Pivot, married, had a couple of kids, called charts, and just, So, it's what we call a modern BI, because it can connect to anything, right? And then it can refresh itself, and you can see it on any platform, so you can watch it on your phone, on your tablet, watch it in your browser, and this is a Power BI report. It's not it's nothing special, it's a Power BI report. Is that on my phone? Uh-oh, picture in picture. Okay. You had me flustered there. Okay, so this is a regular Power BI report. Why are Power BI reports cool? Well, first of all, they're cool because each and every visual affects all other visuals, right? So anything I click, I can filter the other things. And then, also, they're cool because you can do things like this, right? Oh, I don't know how that got there, but by the way, Ken says hello. No pun intended. So, but then Power BI has several things. One of them is reports. And we all know reports, and usually why this is not a usual Power BI thing is there would be like 100 reports down there, right? So, if I want to consume only, let's say, information that is important to me, I should create a what in Power BI, and not everyone at once. A dashboard, I heard it. Cool. So, who uses dashboards in Power BI? Whoa, they're actually hands. 7, cool. So, let me start with this. A dashboard is should be, should be, one of the best things you can use in BI or in Power BI in general. And let me explain why. So among all reports that I have, so each and every report that I use, I can take that piece of the report and I can pin it to a dashboard, right? So let's create a new one. Let's call it, what should we call it? So if you go Bulgaria Excel days, it's bad, but let's do it. So let's call it this. And then I'll pin another thing from here. Let's pin this bad boy from the existing, yeah, cool. And then let's go to another report, right? And I can pick things from here. Let's do this one right after I get rid of this. So let's pin this one. So what's the idea of a dashboard? Well, the idea of a dashboard is brilliant. You bring stuff from all the reports, only the stuff that matters to you, and you bring it to one place. And you can create your own dashboards. You can have dashboards for everyone. So it's a very cool concept, but it gets better. It gets better because now that I have a dashboard, now I can do this. Now I can go into my Power BI workspace, and here's my bed, right? And if I go to my bed, I have everything that I pinned. But a dashboard has a couple of extra features. Like the first feature is this. Do you see, this is just a card. It's showing me like I'm comparing something to plan. And now I can say, well, I can see we're slightly going like, it's not going in the right direction, let's say. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna create an alert. And I'm gonna say, if this card, and it's way over here, if the value of this card goes below this, then you should alert me, right? So I have a visual that can be actionable, that can create alerts. And that's, you only get that from a dashboard. You can have cards on your reports, but they're not actionable, whereas here they are. And then another thing that is absolutely brilliant is, and if you've ever done reporting or submitted reports to anyone, you're gonna connect to this. You create a report, you're like super excited about it, and then you submit it. And probably the first thing is everybody goes, wow. And like 5 minutes later, they're already, but you know, you could slightly change that. We don't really need that. And here, you could do something crazy, right? And in a life of someone who does reports, that's probably the worst thing that can happen. But Power BI dashboard has this little thing. It's called Q&A right up here. And you can go up here and say, like, I have nothing in my dashboard that will tell me anything about countries. But I can go up here. And I can say, you know what? Show me. And then I even think I've got this down. I'm not sure it's going to work. Show me the money. It's just doing the actual, there it is. So show me the money by country. Right? There it is. On, well, that's not on map. Why not, right? And the key here is, the brilliance here is, I'm actually talking to my data set. If I know how my fields are called, and I got a field called actual, right? I can call it up. But then every field that you have can have a synonym, and my field called actual has a synonym, show me the money. So I can just say, show me the money, right? And the brilliant thing about this is I just created a visual that is nowhere in my reports, but I can, as I created it, right? I can now pin it to my dashboard. And from this point onwards, it's going to live on my dashboard, right? So just with these few things, you should now be saying, okay, dashboards are the best thing ever, right? Why are we not using dashboards? Well, here's why. If I go back to my report, and it will be exactly the one where I created where I pinned the visual. So this is the report. And if this is perfect. Well, that's not perfect. If I clicked March, did you see how this one changed? Now here's a problem of dashboards. If I now go pin, if I do it right now, it's not just carrying over that visual. What it's carrying over are all the filters. And the filters become sticky. And what that means is, if I pin this, it's going to show me exactly gross profit for 2021 for March. And where's the problem? Well, next month, right? I don't care about March, I want April. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to delete it on my dashboard, go back to my report, and create it again. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And you can contact Microsoft, but I don't think they're going to change anything. So that's the way it works, right? And now, if it's great, but it doesn't work like it's supposed to, we know this, we're Excel people, right? What do? Well, we make it work the way we want to, right? And how do we make this work better? Now, there are several ways, but the one that I want to show you is how can we make this better with a calendar table? All right? I'll let that sink in and have a sip of water. So, obviously, the basic calendar table has a problem here. It's got years, it's got months. But if I just do March, I'm in trouble as soon as April comes, right? So I want to change, not the whole concept of a calendar table, because you can't, right? It needs the dates, it needs those fields, but I'm going to change it in a way that I'm going to add some stuff. And the stuff I'm going to add, let me just see if I can actually click something. No, okay. The way I'm going to change it is this. I'm going to go here, and of course, you always create your calendar tables where? In Power Query. There you go. If I had a book, it's yours. There's no book. Gave them all away. But anyways, this is where you create your calendar table. And what I've done is I've created a calendar. So this is the one that is, let's call it, oh, I don't even have it here. This is the one that would be your, vanilla, like you got dates, month number, month name. Why do I need the month number? So I can actually sort it. Brilliant. Well, it actually is brilliant. And then quarter, year, month, weekday. Again, you need the weekday number, or your weekdays won't sort. And then we got the week of year. And you could go further if you wanted to, but this is like a regular calendar staple, right? Well, but then sometimes people go slightly further than this, and the way they go further is by creating something like this. And over here, I have a single column, and it's year-month. Now, year-month is cool for visualizations when you want to show more years by months, right? Because if you just put in months and don't have the years, all the Januaries will be together. But then if I put in years and months in Power BI, it's going to be a hierarchy, and then they want to go everywhere. So year-month is a perfect field. And if you do it like this, it's perfect because, well, if I do it like this, it's going to sort correctly, so I don't need to think about that. But what if I did it like this? And let me just, so I'll be able to say I did open Excel. So what if I wanted something like this? Oh, Thank you very much, Excel. So let's go like this. Right? What if I wanted this sort of a combination? I could easily create it. Like it's a text function, it's the format function, nothing special, but will it sort? No way. So now I need a field that's going to sort these. Right? And what I need is a field that is actually key, so it's literally the key field of this entire presentation, so of the perfect calendar table. And the field goes something like this. Let me see if I have it here. Yep. It's called a month-year index. And the way you get it, there's nothing fancy in it. So if I have a date, I can go equals year of this date times 12 plus month, oh, there you go, month of this year. I'm actually, so my computer, this is his farewell tour. So he probably knows it, I guess. But you can look at it. It's missing a control key, because if you do Excel, you're not pressing control all the time. And it's got other issues. So this gives every combination year-month a unique ID. And it gives it a unique ID that I can then sort any month-year by. But now that I have a way to pick month-year combinations, now I can do this. Now I can say, oh, so if I know this, I also know what is the current month year, right? What is the current month year? Well, take today. If I'm speaking in Excel terms, in Power Query it's like this, daytime local now. But in Excel terms, take today, take the year, multiply it by 12, plus the month. Nothing fancy. That's this month year, or actually this current month. And then I can create a field that would go something like this. For each and every year month, right? Oh, and it finishes right before the grand finale, so let's do it. So for every year month, just be a year month combination. But for the year month that is right now, I want you to actually say current month. Right? And always keep in mind, this is happening in Power Query. Why is that cool? Well, it refreshes every time. So once the current year changes, or current month changes, this current month will no longer be in November, it will be in December. Right? And I can do the same for current year. It's even easier. Right? Current year is which one? Well, it's shockingly current year. Yeah. But then I can go even deeper than that. And I did here, and this Power Query code would probably blow your minds, because it includes Outlook at a certain point. But what I did is this. I took all the days, then I took all the weekends out, and then I even went to Outlook to check the usual US holidays calendar, and I even took all of those out. And then I said, okay, take this. Now count the number of days you get. So those are your working days, right? Now count the number of days you get for every month. And now, for every day that has passed, sort of do the same thing. And what you get is, you get what I call a current month index. It's not a current month index, it's an index for every month. But it looks like this. If the month has already passed, the index is 1. If this is the current month, the index is the number of days that have passed, right, divided by the whole number of days. And then if it hasn't even happened yet, then over here it says 0. I'll usually do a blank in the DAX. Does anyone have any ideas why this could be useful? Yeah, well, for future dates, it's cool because then I can just multiply by the max of this and I can get rid of it. But it's way more than that. What it does is, when you have a plan for the entire year and you're comparing where you are, it always seems off, right? Because the plan is like this, and we're only here in the year, so I don't even know if I'm on point. But if I have this field, I can now know that the entire year is times 12, and this one is whatever the months have passed will be 1 plus 1 plus 1, and then plus a little percentage in the current month. And if I divide by that, now I have, for the entire year, adjusted my plan. And then I can even go further, right? Because I have this for each month-year combination, I can do that for each month. And now those, like this is the plan, and then I have like 3 actuals here. Now those get small down to whatever has passed. So my plan is actually comparable. And then there's another one you can do here, and it's one of my favorite things in Power BI to do, and I have no idea where it is, but it should be somewhere here. Oh, there it is. I call this a rolling 13, and all that it does, it says, take the current month, and then take 12 months before that, and if a year month is within that, get a 1. If it's outside that, get a 0. Okay, that's all it does. Now, with this calendar, what can I now do in my Power BI? Oh, that's not the right one. Where is it, where is it, where is it? It's probably this one. Well, with this calendar, I can go further, right? Because I can take, like, this visual that is usually dependent on, some slicers, or even before I would go to visuals, I could say, well, this slicer, you know what? Instead of it being this, why wouldn't it be current year, right? And then I can just say, you know what? Just show me current year. Where's the brilliance? Well, okay, first brilliance is when the year switches. I don't need to do anything. But the second brilliance is if I pin this to my dashboard now, what's the filter that is carrying with it? Current year. It's not saying 2022, it's saying current year. And that one is dynamic. Not in the report itself, it's actually dynamic in Power Query and in the refresh cycle. And here's another good one for you that you can do. If you take this one, let me take this out, you can actually say, I've got a visual here. I'll take my rolling 13 and I'll add the filter to this visual and only give me those that are 1. Now I got a visual that will always show me last 13 months. And why 13? Yeah, sure. Maybe in Bulgaria, where yes is no and everything is upside down. So 13, because then you actually include the same month previous year, right? And you can make a comparison directly in a single visual, which is brilliant. You're going to get it. Okay, so this, extremely cool. And then I could even do this. I could take like any regular old visual, and I could say, add a filter to this, and it should always be current month, right? Because I have it right here. It should always be current month. And what have I just done? Well, if I pin these to my dashboards, all of a sudden, I don't need to change my dashboard every month. Because they're sticky, but now they're good sticky, because they're just saying current month, current year, and that is exactly what I get with my refresh. Are we getting the brilliance of this? Yeah? There you go. It was a silent one, but okay. So this really makes, because let's be honest, from what I showed you before, right? All of those dashboards, they're not really useful. Even though you can see that they're useful because they got cool features, but they're useless in a scenario where I'm using the regular calendar. But now with this calendar, these become something totally different, right? And let me show you another thing that you get with the dashboard. What you get is, and this is me playing lottery now because it could work, it also could not. What you get is, where is it? It's here. Because, you know, sometimes you want to sort of do descriptive statistics, so you want to go, let's check previous month, right? Particularly if you do accounting, you don't even care about the current month. And until the 15th, you don't even care about the previous month. So sometimes you're thinking about the past, but sometimes the present matters. And the present matters in a way that I need the information right now. So I need to see what's happening. And you probably know that Microsoft applications like Excel or regular Power BI don't really do real time, right? You can do it in Excel. There are a couple of sources out there how to do it. Well, but over here on my website, I have this API that is simulating a server room. So all it is saying is, are these 3 machines on? And for each one of those, it's kind of sending the temperature and moisture, and it's doing that, let's say, every 3 seconds, right? And now I can go like this. Now I can say start, and over here, and here's where it gets tricky. Oh, it did work. Cool. Over here, on a dashboard, do you see how those are slightly different because they have this lightning next to them? Because on a dashboard, I can show things live, right? So there's a company in Slovenia, they do, well, they distribute medicine. And they wanted to know probably 2 things most of all. The first one is, where are all our vans? And the second one is, what's the temperature of the van? Because with medicine, you really need to be careful that it doesn't go beyond or below something. And with this, which stopped working, but it's doing something. So with this, they were able to see a map live of their vans, and then for each one of those, a temperature live. And if they had the perfect calendar, right below that, they could actually have their sales data or whatever on a dashboard live, right? And that's why what you just saw and weren't even presented with, but you saw, was the perfect calendar table for Power BI reporting. Almost. Any questions? Yeah, sure. Go.
I have 2 questions. First question actually is not related to this topic, which is, if I know Power Query well, do I need to learn VBA? This is my first question. And the second question is much more related to the calendar. Is there any difference to build calendar using Power Query or DAX? For example, in DAX, I can use calendar or calendar auto functions. Will be there any difference or not? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll take the second one first because it's my personal. So you never use calendar auto. You never use it. And the reason you never use it is because it grabs all your tables. It grabs all your fields that are either date or time. So even if you just had a customer table and then a birthday of the customer, your calendar would already go way back to the birth date of the first customer, or actually January 1st of that year. But then it gets even worse. If you have a single column with time, a calendar auto will return As the first date, which one? Yeah, I can see you were at a good masterclass. Somebody told you, cool, cool. Yeah, exactly. So January 1st, 1899. And here's why that is a problem. Now you have your sales report, and ahead you have a slicer by year, and it starts with 1899. So let's find 2020, right? It doesn't make sense. And it's got some other, so you can then go ignore these columns and these columns, but the problem is, with all DAX tables, they get recalculated. So they're taking away everything. Whereas if you do it in Power Query the way it should be done, what you get is basically it will get calculated on refresh, and that is it. And if you saw what I did before, because I have it here, the way my calendar is created, okay, it seems like it's 5 steps. It's not. Because the source of this is actually a function. And this function does everything. So if you just come on. It ain't that bad. So this function does everything, and it does it extremely well. Because you just point to your main table, to the date column, and it does everything. And you can see that at the bottom, it even creates the perfect calendar, because it does the year-month index, rolling 13s, current month, current year, it does everything. Right? If everyone wants, they can shoot me an email and I'll send them this. Okay, and the second one, or the first one, but the second one I'll take. VBA, Power Query, you're comparing different things. They are automation languages in a sense, but Power Query is an ETL. It's an extract, transform, load tool. VBA, you can even take the A away. That one is, so I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft has a plan of disabling VBA. I'm not saying they're making it go away, but disabling it by default in your files when you open them. Now, why would they do that? Well, because with VBA, I can do anything on your machine. If I can just get you to click that run button, right? And I don't even need to do that, because I can say if you change a selection, there it goes, right? And that's why, VBA is a monster. And over there, he seems asleep, but you have one of the greatest masters in the world of VBA, Charles Williams. And maybe we can discuss this later, right? I'll be the Power Query guy, he'll be the VBA guy, and we can we can take it on. Okay, any more questions?
If we would have a custom calendar that doesn't follow the regular one and doesn't follow Outlook, then what should we do? If our March starts on 4th
So
of
fiscal
March,
years, you're talking fiscal years, right?
For example.
So fiscal years are just added fields to your calendar. And then if you actually have a calendar, because one thing is to have the table and it's another to say that is my calendar, but if you have your calendar, then your time intelligence functions work kind of differently, because they are aware that there are people out there that don't follow, regular month years or something like that. And if you do let's say I'll do a measure in here, right? And I'll just try to calculate something year to date. So I'll say, there it is. So actual year to date. You should always do this with disconnected slicers, but let's, for the sake of argument, calculate actual how? Well, dates YTD, right? And once I say dates YTD, it says, where's your calendar? And I say, well, it's calendar date, if I can ever find it. There it is. But then it also says, oh, and what is your year-end date? So my time intelligence, even with the regular fields, could go, oh, you know what it is? It's actually, let's say, you said March, right? So I'll go 31st of March. Of course, you have to write it in the US way, because that's the way it thinks. And then, just for the sake of argument, let me add it in here. So let me add it in here. Oh, now it's going to go bananas. So let me do this, and now let's add it. And I did it on the wrong visual. Let's do it again. Actual plan, and I got this one. Now I have no idea where it went. That was the best presentation ever. Do not include this in the video. I think it's, oh, because my actual measure is wrong. Yeah, but you get the idea. Okay. Let's get off this screen fast. So here's a beautiful, beautiful presentation. Any more questions? No? Okay, then I'm going to leave you with this. You may have seen that when I do Power BI reports, I use a particular visual. And the reason I use it is because I only do two things. In this visual, I'm only calculating two things, or in this one, doesn't matter. I'm only calculating the actual and plan. But usually, if you give me two numbers, I'm not interested in the numbers. I'm interested in the difference. I'm interested in the percentage points different. And those would be extra measures. So all of a sudden, my data model is like this. Well, not if I use proper visuals, like this one. Because this one says, here's my actual, and then if I just prop it correctly, let's do this. So here's my actual, here's my plan, here's the difference, and here is the difference in percentage points. And not just that it's calculating that for me, which is always a good thing, it's also doing something else. The visual presentation of this is IBCS standards, which I don't know if you know, but is the International Standards of Business Communication. You probably know that all the fancy reports, when you do them like you do them in gray color, why do you do them in gray color? Okay, that's one way of thinking about it. You could. Okay, I'm going to save us some time. It's not because printing saves us ink. It's also not because of that. It's because I simply don't want to use colors in my reports. Because if I use colors, colors have meaning. And to get rid of colors, but still have the ability to actually emphasize something, if I make everything gray, if I just make a single thing black, I'm already emphasizing and I haven't used any colors. And that's exactly what this is. But then it goes a step further because the green and the red actually mean something in that, right? Because if my report was like this, and those would be your regular Power BI reports, I don't even know which one to pick. Let's pick this one. Okay. Right? And then if I added a measure, calculate the difference, would it make a difference if I made it green? Not really, because it's all colors now, right? And on that note, you're going to watch a video now, so you may have noticed that Zebra BI is the main sponsor of this conference. And it's an honor for me because they're from Slovenia, and their product really is cool. The video is like, you're going to watch a 7-minute video as a presentation of what Zebra BI actually does. And the thing you're going to love the most, I'm showing it in Power BI, but you can actually use it in Excel. And here's why that matters. Years back, there was a rumor on the streets, and the rumor was every visual that you use in Power BI you're going to be able to use in Excel. Now imagine that world, right? And then the rumor turned out to not be true, but they did it. They took their Power BI visual and they made it useful in Excel and PowerPoint. And here's the video about it. Oh, before we run the video, sorry, I just want to say one thing. This is my 4th year here. This still is the best conference out there, for me at least, ever. And usually, you know, you clap at all of us and all of that, but now I want Boris to stand up, I want Boriana to stand up, and Martha over there, and give a big round of applause for them, because they're actually doing it. Okay, and now you can roll the video.
Hello to Sofia. I hope everybody's having a great time. We at Zebra BI are honored to be a part of such great event. Now, some of you may know us from Power BI world, where our visuals are being used by hundreds of thousands of business analysts and controllers around the world. But what we're about to show you today is something completely new. Whether it's in a live meeting or on a Teams call, people need actionable insights immediately. Not just what happened in the past, but also based on data, what should a business do? That's why last month we revealed something that has completely changed the way companies build reports, not just in Power BI, but also in Excel and PowerPoint. Let's hear it from our founder, CEO and Microsoft MVP, Andrei Lapainen.
Welcome everybody. I'm Andrei of Zebra BI, the founder and CEO. And of course, it's a very, very special day for me and for my team, because back in 2014, we actually started with a add-in for Excel. And then we moved on to BI tools like Power BI and so on. And in a sense, now we are going back in time, but also forward in time. Now, back to Excel. Excel is still #1 BI tool. I know this is a controversial statement. It's not an analytical database or anything of that sort, but like the modern Excel is also used as a BI tool vastly. But there's this one problem. And the problem is that the reports, the analysis that we see today in Excel still look like this. For the most part, and they are being used in production for meetings, for monthly, reviews, in presentations, and so on and so on. And it's a messy situation that every company basically has still today, and it's not being solved. And we are all just wasting our time. Basically, these people on the meetings, of course, they need actionable insights today. And this will be my first Zebra BI chart created from a simple table in Excel. So I have actual and planned data by month, and the new Zebra BI for Office consists of 2 visuals, the Zebra BI charts and Zebra BI tables. Let's create a chart. I created an actionable chart that will present my information. Let's say that this is my plan. I'll move it to the plan buckets. The notation here is IBCS compliant. So this is my plan, 8.1 million. My actual is 8.6, which is great. 5.9% above the plan. I have all the variances. I have the relative variances. All that was calculated by the visual itself from the basic data. So this time, I have a slightly more ambitious data set here. I have my actuals, previous year data, plan, forecast, and also some comments. Let's see what Zebra BI will do with this data. Voila. All right, let's start by looking at the column charts first. All right, what do we see now? Now I have the actual data. My plan is behind the actuals. Also, I have the triangles for my previous year data, plus I have my forecast. So I have actual only up until the month of August. And then for the rest of the year, I have my forecast. All right, so this is a part of prescriptive analytics here. So we are including forecasts, but also we are merging qualitative information to quantitative information. So we have commentary here, which is completely dynamic. So you can simply add a comment. What is going on here? And you will see the comment being displayed at the right data point and also being written here. Tables visual will visualize structured data, and again it has calculated the variances and it has sorted the data by default. So you see here you can simply click to sort by the different criteria. You can simply with one click identify the units, data categories where the variance is good or variance is bad, or the growth rate is great or the growth rate is actually declining, and so on. So all this analysis is just one click away. Now I have a pivot table. Let's throw this out. Create a simple chart. All right, simple waterfall chart. Now back to my pivot table, and I'll add my business unit groups into columns in a pivot table. Now I have all of my business units in my pivot table. What happened in the Zebra BI visual? Well, I've got all the charts, like 9 charts from all of my, representing all of my business units. Same thing with the tables. You can use pivot tables to create hierarchical tables. So in my pivot table here, I'll add the Zebra BI tables visual. What we see now is that I have an interactive hierarchical table because I have multiple levels in my row structure, in my pivot table here. Those levels are being represented here in the Zebra BI tables visual. So let me close this. I'll just collapse everything. Okay, so my business has 2 major divisions, electronics and personal care products, right? So this is my 2 divisions here. And as a user, I can simply open a branch and like drill down into specific units, and you can just, you can just go down and down. So you can do a complete P&L, okay? With the P&L, for this to work, we have integrated features like result rows. So you mark if everything is getting stacked, intermediate results, you just right click, mark it as a result, and you have it here. And then for expenses or negative, KPIs, you just invert the row. So without this, everything in a waterfall chart just gets stacked. But if you right click, invert this, this will get subtracted. And this is how you basically calculate the whole structure of your P&L visually here on the Zebra BI visual.